6:15, this is a Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. It has been emphasized that wearing face masks and following health guidelines is mandatory. The Adhikarigoda village in the Kalathara district has been isolated. The number of infected cases in Jaffna has increased. A telephone number to book clinics at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital. And in news overseas, hospitals send SOS as record deaths registered in India. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the local news. Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana says that it is compulsory to wear face masks and to follow health guidelines. He said several police officers have been deployed in civil to look into this matter. Stern action will be taken against those who do not wear face masks. Participating in a media briefing held today, he said punishment will be given under the quarantine regulations. According to the specialist of the WHO, the new variant can spread through air. He also stated that therefore the public should be more vigilant and safe to prevent the infection. It has been also emphasized, according to the Gazette notification issued on the 15th of October 2020, travel restriction, wearing face masks and keeping social distance is essential. The Army Commander General Shavendra Silva announced that a Gramanila Dari division in the Kalathara South Police area will be isolated with effect from 6 p.m. today. Accordingly, Adhikarigoda Vasama Gramanila Dari division is expected to be placed under isolation effective this evening. The National Center for Operating of COVID-19 says that a group who participated in a ceremony has been identified as infected. Accordingly, 63 persons out of 99 have been infected by the virus. 12 COVID-infected persons in the Jaffna district have been identified. Health Director of the Northern Province, Dr. A. Kedishwaran, said that 3 police officers in the area have been infected as well. 4 persons in the same family and 3 persons in the Nallur district have also been infected by the virus. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The time period of visiting the Colombo Ridgeway Hospital to see the patients have been revised. Accordingly, opportunity will be made for 1 person per day to visit the patient. The time period has been restricted to 15 minutes. Director of the hospital, Dr. P. Vijayasuriya, said that the residential treatments are being conducted successfully. The time for the clinic service can be booked by dialing the number 1390. There is a high risk of spreading of COVID-19 virus in the Trincomalee district. Therefore, the governor of the Eastern Province, Anuradha Yahampath, requested the public to refrain from visiting the area. Necessary advice have been given to the defence sector to impose roadblocks in order to prevent unwanted travels other than the essential. Stern legal action will be taken against the individuals who violate the quarantine regulations. It has been reported that 5 nurses who served in the intensive care unit of the Trincomalee General Hospital have been infected by the virus. Director General of the hospital, Jagat Vikramaratna, said that the 2 infected nurses have been given the first dose of the vaccine. However, the patients in the intensive care unit were not infected by the virus. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. It has been emphasized that wearing face masks and following health guidelines is mandatory. The Adhikarigoda village in the Kalathara district has been isolated. The number of infected cases in Jaffna has increased. A telephone number to book clinics at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for this evening, police spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana said today that 702 suspects in total are under arrest over the 2019 Easter Sunday bomb attacks. Explaining the progress of the investigations, DIG Rohana said 202 of them are currently in remand custody, while 83 others were detained by the CID and the Terrorism Division of Investigations for interrogations. Meanwhile, the Baduddin brothers were apprehended in early hours of this morning based on the evidence uncovered during the investigations, DIG Rohana added. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And in Watch Like this evening, Professor G.L. Peters says that the commencing of schools which uses all three languages for teaching will help to develop education and to understand each other. The minister, while attending a function in Kote Rahula Vidyalaya, said that the school will be developed as a trilingual school. And that came to you in Watch Light.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
the best discount in this Urdu season, People's Leasing Polywasi. Enjoy an interest rebate of 25% from People's Leasing for all the leasing facilities during this Urdu season. Call 011-206-300 for more details. Conditions apply.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Headlines of the world news. Hospitals send SOS as record deaths register in India. Brazil cuts environment budget despite climate summit pledge. Navy says Indonesian submarine sank off Bali. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the world news. Indian hospitals say that their patients are dying because of shortage of oxygen as COVID cases numbers and deaths set new record for a third day running. India has recorded nearly 1 million infections in 3 days with 346,786 new cases overnight into today. At the Jaipur Golden Hospital in Delhi, 20 people died overnight because of lack of oxygen, the official said. The government says it is deploying trains and air force to transport supplies to hard-hit areas. The number of deaths across India rose by 2,624 in the past 24 hours today, up from 2,263 that was recorded yesterday. The World Health Organization said that the situation in India was a devastating reminder of what the coronavirus could do. Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro has approved a cut in the Environment Ministry budget a day after he vowed to boost spending to tackle deforestation. At a US-led climate summit, he promised to double the money reserved for environmental enforcement and to end illegal deforestation by the year 2030. But the budget signed off yesterday did not include his pending pledge or any additional proposals made by the Congress. His government has weakened protections and wants to develop protected areas. Critics say that the president's promise on Thursday were linked to a controversial deal Brazil is negotiating with the US to receive financial aid in return for protecting the Amazon, the world's largest rainforest, and other areas. A submarine missing since Wednesday off the coast of Bali with 53 people on board has been lost, the Indian Navy said today. Parts of the submarine, along with debris, including prayer mats, were found near where it went missing, the Navy Chief of Staff said. A scan detected the sub at a depth of 850 meters, well beyond its survivable limit. It was only carrying enough oxygen for 3 days. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Hospitals send SOS as record deaths register in India. Brazil cuts environment budget despite climate summit pledge. Navy says Indonesian submarine sank off Bali. And that was the world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
the best discount in this Urdu season, People's Leasing Polywasi. Enjoy an interest rebate of 25% from People's Leasing for all the leasing facilities during this Urdu season. Call 011-206-300 for more details. Conditions apply.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
In development news, State Ministry for Rural Roads Development say that the construction of 800 kilometers of road is being implemented in the island. Secretary to the ministry, Professor Ranjit Disanayaka, said that these roads will be developed to solve the issues presented at the Gamasamanga Pilisandarak program. 2,000 kilometers of road are to be renovated soon. From that, we move on to sports news. Today is the fourth day of the first test match between visiting Bangladeshi team and the Sri Lankan team at Pallekele Stadium. Sri Lanka scored 512 runs for the loss of 3 wickets at the close of the day. Dimuth Karunaratne was on 234 runs and Dhananjay De Silva was also unbeaten on 154 runs. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
In business news, Sri Lanka Transport Board has earned 660 million rupees in 10 days during the Sinhala and Hindu New Year season. Its chairperson, attorney-at-law Kingsley Ranawaka, said that the revenue was generated by a special bus service facilitated for people visiting their villages for the festive season. That was the business news, and economic news follows.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
And in economic news, treasury bills worth over 45 billion rupees will be issued. The relevant auction in this regard will be held on the 28th of this month. The central bank says biddings will be called from primary dealers on government securities. Public can purchase the treasury bills from the primary dealers and licensed commercial banks. That was economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa and southern provinces. Showers or thunder showers may occur at several places in the northwestern, central, Uva, north central and eastern provinces during the afternoon or night. Fairly heavy rainfalls over 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Gaul, Mathura, Kandy and Nuwara Eliya districts. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. It has been emphasized that wearing face masks and following the health guidelines is mandatory. The Adhikarigoda village in the Kaluthara district has been isolated. The number of infected cases in Jaffna has increased. A telephone number to book clinics at the Lady Ridgeway Hospital. And in news overseas, hospitals sent SOS as record deaths register in India. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.